Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to test a tent to see if we can keep warm in what is projected to be up to negative 34 degrees Fahrenheit. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to be doing this camping trip on my property again. I am very inexperienced in camping, and starting to camp during the winter season is very challenging, but I'm finding that it's a lot of fun. So I'm hoping that I can gain enough experience to make camping a lot of fun for my entire family when the warmer weather comes around. So being that today is supposed to be one of the coldest days, if not the coldest day of the year thus far, I figure I would do it on my property because I just had it plowed. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. There is absolutely no way that this can be done with my truck, with my plow. Look at how high these snow berms are after I had my property not plowed but taken care of with a bobcat. Look at my trailer. For reference, that trailer is roughly from the floor or from the ground to the top, roughly about 9 feet or so tall. And look at how high up this mound is right here. It's almost enough to completely cover the view of the fuel depot over there. So I just had my property cleared off with a bobcat. Check this out over there. Look at that mound next to the tent and behind the chicken coop. So that's one thing that you're going to want to think about, especially if you're planning on moving over here to Alaska, is are you going to be able to handle all of the snow? And getting back to what I was saying, being that it's going to be so cold today, I think this is a great time and to have a good learning experience. I am trying out an ice shanty for a tent instead of a regular cheapo tent. Well, this one's kind of cheap when it comes to the ice shanty world. It was only like $79 or $76, and it's not insulated. And my goal is trying to find out what are the best ways to heat a tent like in an emergency. I'm going to bring all of my chandeliers in there, all 3 of them, and we're going to start with 1, then 2, then 3, and see what the temperature inside is. Now let me go ahead and go get the OUPES Mighty Mouse, because we're still using that for our camping trips this winter, and I have been leaving it outside all winter long, like I told you earlier this year. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, where we left it from last time. Let's go ahead and bring it over to our table, turn it on, and see what the percentage is. I think I remember it being at like 84 or 85% the last time we used it. It's getting a little colder. It's getting close to negative 15 now, if not negative 15. And here's our OUPES. And let's turn it on real quick because I have to put my glove back on. My hands are freezing. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen, 84%. And it turned on at negative 15 roughly. Pretty impressive. Oh, wait a minute. It says E05 right there. Let's see if the inverter will turn on. Nope, look. It has a cold temperature. Once we get everything set up inside the tent and it's warmer in there, it's still pretty impressive, in my opinion, that it even turned on at negative 15 degrees. It's definitely not rated for it to be this cold. So the first thing we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is set up our tent. And then after the tent is set up, we'll go over everything that I brought with me. And I'm going to go over with you the 3 ways that I'm going to heat the tent tonight to see which way is more efficient. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a very big tent. It's supposed to be for 2 to 4 people, but if you're ice fishing, so if you're going to have a cot in there or any kind of sleeping attire in there, it's probably only good for 1 person, 2 at the very most. And I'm not sure if you noticed from inside, but you'll see that we do have a vent here, and I do believe that we can take these windows out. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. One of these windows is broken. Or the plastic is ripped on it. Same thing on the other side. The window is pretty much ripped. You can't ask too much from a $76 shanty, I guess. This here, ladies and gentlemen, is what the cot looks like. It looks very comfy, but as you can see, it's way too big for this small tent. So next time, we're going to have to try out a tent that's a little bit bigger, that can at least fit one or two of these cots inside of it. And before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and put my wool blanket on the top of this tent. Now that, I think, will help to retain in some heat. I know it worked pretty good with our cheap Amazon tent. We'll see how it works with this one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a few minutes to show you what I brought along with me. Of course, I got my jacket here. You already saw me wearing that. I had to take it off because I'm getting a little sweaty, and that can get pretty dangerous when you're in -20, -30 degrees. This right here is just the mattress that came with this cot, and we're not going to be using that this evening. I got a couple of Tupperware here that have pretty much the same contents that I brought with me on the last camping trip, but let me show you a couple of new things that I got. I got some of these which look like they're like little carabiners, but what these are is these are for people that are not good at tying knots, and that's something that I'm not good at. So if you know how to tie a basic knot, this right here, you can hook it up to pretty much anything, and you can tighten the 550 cord or whatever cordage you got just as good as if you were tying a good knot. I went ahead and brought this. This is something that I showed off a long time ago on one of my payday preps. This is like a little lantern that I'm going to see if I can use it. It works off of butane, and we're going to try to see if our butane will work at -20 and below temperatures if we put a hand warmer next to it to keep it warm. Of course, I brought my torch because it's easy to use. It's just a trigger mechanism for you to turn it on. So that's the best thing for me to have during these cold weathers, because I do lose dexterity in my fingers when it gets this cold. So you can see right here, ladies and gentlemen, I did a video on this a really long time ago, and these are some homemade fire starters, okay? I brought my thermos that is insulated for water. I got an axe in there, or a hatchet. I brought my little radio for entertainment, an additional lighter. I got some feet warmer. I got my fan and light in there. I brought some rope. And of course, I brought my pull start. And never go anywhere without your baby wipes. And in this bucket, ladies and gentlemen, I've got my new bushcraft knife that I showed you how I made. Very easy and cheap way to get yourself a bushcraft knife if you're on a budget. I brought my shed knife, bushcraft knife. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. From what I understand, the owner of Shed Knives had to put a little bit of a back order on some knives because he's so busy because of you all. So that's a great way to support an American company that uses American parts and that builds knives by an American. Of course, I brought a couple of my hybrid lights. I brought the 600 and I brought the 1000. Got some duct tape. I got some extra gloves down there. I got my emergency blanket down there, if you can see it as well. I did bring my silky saw because I think everyone ought to have a silky saw with them, especially if they go out camping or even in their vehicle. I've got a hammer in there. That's something that I added. A little bit of wood that was left over from our last trip. I really like using this little rocket stove for just lighting a fire. So this is kind of like my fire pit. I just like using this instead of trying to start it on the ground. It just works great. I brought, ladies and gentlemen, a couple of camping stoves that use liquid gas instead of butane. In here, we've got a Coleman stove. And in here, we've got a cheapo stove. It's about half as much as what this Coleman costs. Ladies and gentlemen, I decided to do a standalone video comparing these two stoves and see how they operate in even colder weather, -40 degrees. Therefore, we won't see that on this video, but if you want to watch that review of the comparison of these two stoves, go ahead and take a look at the video in the upper right-hand corner. One of the ways that we are going to heat our tent tonight is going to be with 3 of our UCO chandeliers. See what it does to the temperature in there. We're also going to try 3 sternos. All right, ladies and gentlemen. And if these things together do not keep the temperature in there adequate, we're also going to go to plan number C. And that is the big dog, my big buddy. Now this, I'm pretty certain, will keep the temperature in there adequate. We just have to make sure that we have ventilation. And I'm also going to bring a carbon monoxide detector with me as well. This is why it's so important, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that the undershirt that you wear is one that's not made out of cotton. It allows whatever sweat to wick off and get to the outer garment. And you can see how this outer garment here that I have is taking all that sweat and letting it evaporate. So very important that you understand that and practice that in real life. Do your own research. I don't want you to go out there and freeze, all right? And practice just like I am. Look, I'm next to my house, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not too proud to tell you that I'm practicing. I could have gone to the back of my property and said, hey, I'm in a new property I've never been to and lied to you. But why would I do that? I'm going to see if I can start up at least a couple of the UCO candeliers. I just realized that one of them needs new candles. So I'm going to cheat and run inside the bunker really quick and grab 3 new candles for that UCO candelier and see if we can get the heat up in there. Because in order for me to keep these cameras running, they do have to warm up a little bit. If not, they'll just get drained really quick. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am inside of the tent, obviously, and you can see how I set up my UCO candeliers. Now, I'm sorry that I did not record this little process right here, but my phones froze up and they shut down. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to alternate between phones, i.e. my cameras, and I'm taking one of my phones, right? I'm putting them inside one of my hats right here and putting a hand warmer in there so that they can stay warm in there. And then when the one that I'm using right now, when that one says, hey, I want to take a break, I'll go ahead and change them over. But you can see I put a little bit of reflective bubble wrap right there against the wall, and I've got my 3 UCO candeliers, and you can see I have my water thermos there because it had already frozen, but I put it right there next to the UCO candeliers, and it thawed out probably within 5 minutes. I've got my OUPES solar generator there, my Mighty Mouse. Hopefully we'll be able to use it because I do have an electric heating pad that I'm not sure if you noticed me unraveling it when I set it up, but I have an electric heating pad under here. Here it is right here. And ladies and gentlemen, this heating pad, I'll let you know how they work. They only use 15 watts of power per hour. So those things are awesome. They can run all night long and only use maybe 150 watt hours, if that. And you can see that the temperature in here, ladies and gentlemen, just by being enclosed, by having the wool blanket on the outside, in here, it's looking like -5 or so. And I believe that outside is a little bit more than that or less than that, like -10, -12. I'll go check here in a second and let you all know. I got 2 of these thermometers here, so I can keep one in here and one outside. If I get everything set up good enough and I'm comfortable enough, I might even do a live stream from right here. We'll see. Well, let's see if we can start a little bit of a fire here. And I'm going to use the knife. I didn't really make this knife, but what I did is I have a short video on me putting it together, kind of. What I did was I tried to find a budget knife that pretty much anyone could afford. Instead of going out and spending $100, $120 on a bushcraft knife, I went and bought myself a pack of 3 cleaver throwing knives from Smith & Wesson. And no, they're not made in the US like shed knives are, but if you can't afford anything else, check it out, ladies and gentlemen. It's a Smith & Wesson throwing knife that I went ahead and put a nice sharp edge to and put a little bit of a cord on there so that I can make a handle. You can make the handle out of anything you want. And I figure I'd go ahead and bring it and use it this time around to see how it will perform. All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, that fire is starting up. Let's check and see what the temperature is outside and inside the tent. All right, so outside you can see that it's holding at a steady -10. And ladies and gentlemen, it's nice and cozy in here. And although it feels pretty cozy in here, ladies and gentlemen, that's only showing that inside it's like -8. But you know what? I think I need to move that away from the wall because it's at an exterior wall. See, that's a little bit better. It's showing like -2 degrees, which it feels a lot warmer in here than it does outside, to tell you the truth. And I'm not sure if you noticed, but I went ahead and stuck the OUPES, the Mighty Mouse, under the sleeping bag so that it can warm up and hopefully be able to work here later on. So it's important that you keep sipping on that water, electrolyte, to make sure that you don't get dehydrated, and then if you're by yourself, it can turn into a dangerous situation. Now, one of our community members told me that the jet boil butane, the one that comes in the black canister, that works really good in negative degree temperature, but I forgot to grab one and bring it out. Next time we'll have to do that. But today what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing I tried last time, but we just never really tried it out in a real purpose or in real manner. So what I did was this: I got my butane canister here, and I've got an electronic hand warmer in here. See it? And it's on. So I put it down here, and I put my butane canister over it, trying to keep it warm. And then here, let's say in about an hour or so, we'll bring this out and see if the little lantern will work with this butane, see if this works. And guess who's here, ladies and gentlemen, asking for a few frisbee throws. Come on, go get it. Good girl. Come on, give me it. Ready? Go get it. Come on. It's about negative 15 or so out here. And there's the 3 UCOs still going strong. It is about, I want to say it's about 5 degrees above zero in here. So it's about a good 20-degree difference, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out. It's above 10 degrees Fahrenheit. It's about 12, almost 15 degrees above zero, while outside, I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's about 15 degrees below zero. So it's staying kind of toasty in here compared to the outside, about a 30-degree difference, ladies and gentlemen, in ambient temperature. And I know a lot of you are going to give me hassle about this, but first, the good news is that it's warm enough in here that, check this out, the Mighty Mouse is now working. So I am now able to hook up my phone to charge it, which I've got it hooked up right now. Here's the cord. And I'm also able to hook up this heated blanket that I have here. I have a heated pad. You see that right there? That is a heated pad. It takes 15 watts. It's all it takes, ladies and gentlemen. And the other 2 or 3 watts that you see is just going to the phone that I've got hooked up right now. Not too bad. How am I warming it up in here? Check this out. I've got 1, 2, 3 UCO candeliers, and on one of them, the candle turned off. So I'm not going to mess with it because I don't want to, try to change it out now that the other 2 are going and everything's going pretty well as far as the temperature in here. And I also have a couple of sternos going on in here. And I already know what you're going to say. But before you say something, I went ahead and grabbed my carbon monoxide detector from the bunker, and I've got it in here. As you can see, I got it not too long ago because it's only showing 31 degrees Fahrenheit. But I don't know if it's going to go very low, like to the 10 degrees, like what it is here now, 10, 15 degrees, because this is intended to be an inside carbon monoxide detector, right? So we'll see what happens. And in addition to that, I do have my door about half open. That window over there is open, and the window itself is cracked, the plastic. So you get what you pay for, ladies and gentlemen. So I've got pretty good ventilation. I've got a whole bunch of cracks around the floor. You see right there, there's air coming in from the floor there. So I'm pretty comfortable that this carbon monoxide detector is not going to go off through the night. But if it does, I'll be able to hear it and get out of here in a hurry. It's a little over 20 degrees above zero. About 25 degrees above zero, ladies and gentlemen. And outside is almost negative 20. And here is our heat source. And no, my carbon monoxide detector has not gone off. I don't think I'm going to have to use the Big Buddy heater tonight. If everything keeps going well, the way it is now, we did lose 1 candle, but if everything keeps going the way it is now, I think we'll be just fine. I've got my electric blanket under my sleeping bag, and I'm just amazed, ladies and gentlemen, at how 15 watts of power per hour can keep that electric blanket warm and keep you warm through the night. And I'm pulling all the stops today because it's going to be up to -34 throughout the night. And let me tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the last video that I do camping out in such a small tent. This is definitely an upgrade from the cheapest tent on Amazon camp out that I did. But next time it's going to be a tent where you can actually walk around instead of just come in and sit. And I'm going to be able to put my big cot in there and it be comfortable instead of just an experiment. Going to be having a good time, being nice and comfortable. And not that I'm not having a good time now, being outside, you know, under the stars and everything. But you know what I mean? It's going to be a luxurious experience instead of a survival experience. Now, this is the fire maple little gas lantern that I purchased a long time ago, ladies and gentlemen. I'm guessing it's probably about a couple of years. And of course, it comes with instructions, and it comes with a little hard case. Pretty neat, actually. I got it from Amazon, and I remember it being not very expensive at all. It was actually pretty inexpensive. I'd have to actually look back at my purchases and see how much I paid for it, but I don't remember it being very much. And it's actually a very nice little unit. It's got you twist it around, and then you can light it in there. And it works off of butane. So let's go ahead and try and see if we can get it to work with our butane cylinder that I've been keeping warm with a hand warmer. Now the idea is just to see if my little contraption here, putting a hand warmer in there, you can see that it's still on, putting a hand warmer down here, keeping the cylinder warm enough that it would work. But then again, inside here, it's now about 25 degrees above zero in here. So it should have probably worked even if I didn't have that hand warmer in there now. But it's still pretty cold. Let me see if this works. Yep. I'm going to turn it on a little bit and see if I can light it. Hey, there you go. Wow, that's pretty high. Good thing I wasn't looking in there, huh, ladies and gentlemen? Let's see how high that flame will go. Oh my goodness, that's high. Now this also works off of propane. I remember getting a connector that will connect to the 1 pound propane cylinders and using this with that as well. So that's not too bad. -18 outside and about 25 above zero inside. Not too bad. If everything keeps going the way that it's going and it gets down to like -30, -34, like it's projected to get down to this evening, then hopefully it at least stays above zero in here, which will be warm enough. Because remember, I have a -25 degree sleeping bag. I'm going to go ahead and eat a little bit of dinner. My wife made me some steak with green beans. And then I'm going to go ahead and call it for the night. Maybe listen to an audiobook, the radio, or maybe watch a couple of videos or a movie or something like that. Let's see. We've got some beef and some green beans with a little bit of seasoning. Very nice. And it's nice and warm too. I wish I could say good morning, but it's good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a little after 10 p.m., and I am calling it for the night, and this is why. Because I woke up from my slumber, and I know for a fact that I'm not going to be falling back asleep. If I do, it would be a miracle. And the thing is this tent inside is very small. So I would be confined to just laying here and maybe watching a video or listening to a book or something like that for the next several hours. And there's just no sense in doing that. It's still nice and warm in here. Let me see. Take a look at the... I'm not sure if you can see that, but I think it says 26. So it's about 26, and that's close to the floor. I've got it on top of the Mighty Mouse over here. And the Mighty Mouse, let's see where it's at. The Mighty Mouse is at 13%. So once the temperature in here got like above 20 degrees, or once this got like above 20 degrees, it started working just fine. So you can see we got it down from 84%, I believe it was, to 13%. This is all frost. Look. See that? That's all frost from the condensation, and that's what happens when you get a cheap tent. But check out the top. Can you distinguish the line between where I have the wool blanket on top of the tent outside? Look at that. So a wool blanket really does do some work when it comes to insulating the inside of your tent, even at a minimum. But you can see that the temperature outside and the temperature inside is a drastic difference. Again, inside the temperature is 27 degrees. Let me go ahead and turn off the Mighty Mouse, and then we're going to walk outside, and I'll show you what the temperature is outside before I go into the house. Well, look at that, ladies and gentlemen. It's only like negative 25. So that's not bad. Negative 25 outside, and inside is about 27. So that's about a 52-degree difference in ambient temperatures from the outside to the inside. I truly hope that you got something out of this, ladies and gentlemen. If anything, a little bit of entertainment. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. And until the next one, I am out.